Well, hello and welcome to the channel. If you are interested in watches, just like me, you've been reading a lot and studying and seeing YouTube clips, maybe you've been wondering about the different groups within the watch community, discussing pro and cons, so there are different camps. So let me give you a few examples. There's the camp with small watches or big watches. This is a small Stover watch, 36 millimeters. And then you've got a much bigger 40s, which is 42 millimeters, and a very, very big size difference, also in thickness. Wow, very, very big difference. But there's the camp saying we are getting back to smaller watches, maybe not 36, but smaller definitely. Or the camp that's saying, well, anything that is below 40 is a woman's watch and not worth wearing. And so those two camps are continuously discussing and debating and not agreeing. But that's not the only group. There's more. Then you got the group of, are you into vintage watches like this Omega and with that kind of aesthetics? Or are you into modern watches like this Normus here? Very, very different expressions. So vintage and modern, two very different groups, two very different set of problems and accelerations, very, very different in terms of buying it and wearing it. Those two groups are also discussing, but there's more. How about a more fundamental question of, are you into quartz watches like this Mecha Quartz here? Or are you into mechanical watches? Again, you are either for or against it, or a few people are, can do both, but it's also a polarizing subject. Let's see if there's more things. Then there's the topic of date. So there's the guys who want, this is an Islander watch. There's the guys who want a day and a date on every single watch, and that's very, very important. And there's the guy who wants a clean watch without any date. And again, very, very polarizing. You're either in one camp or the other. But are there more groups? Well, then you got the groups of, are you into numerals or are you into indices? Or you can put it another way, are you into the group that is into printed dials, and that's okay? Or are you into indices where it's applied indices, like this one? So printed or applied or numerals or indices, again polarizing. So there are many more groups, but let me just take one last one here. Are you a strap guy, leather straps or rubber straps or NATO straps, or are you a bracelet guy? Again, very polarizing. So with this in mind, I think, and this is the Oris and this is a Serica watch, but very, very different in terms of straps. And I think all of these groups are too polarized. They're too far from each other. I think there's a need for a middle ground. So yin and yang in watches is also something about balance. And balance can be achieved in a number of ways. Let me show you a concrete example. An example could be the date function. I am in the camp where I prefer no dates, but I do wear dates as well, so that's fine. I can do both of them, but ideally I would like something without date. In this case it has a day and date, but what is the middle ground? Well, a middle ground could be this undone watch here, which is incidentally I really like. It's really nice. You can see it has a date at the 4:30, which is not an ideal placement, but it's colored. It doesn't match the dial precisely, which is something I would prefer, but in this case it's a black date, So when you look at it just from a little bit of distance, you can't really see the date. So that's a way of incorporating, even for guys that don't like a date, if you have it like that, you know, it's almost concealed, then it's a great way to do it. Another way to strike a balance could be between leather and the bracelet. Now, I have to confess, I'm a leather strap guy. I really adore these leather straps, and I think they bring such a warmth to the watch. But if you want a bracelet, I think for me, I mean, this is my watch, but you look at the size of this bracelet. It's like a tank, and it's solid steel, and it weighs a ton. So after wearing it, I just found it's too heavy for me. So what could be the middle ground between these two? So let me give you an example of that. Now, the middle ground I'm referring to is if this kind of chunky and well executed bracelet is too heavy and too big for you. There are several options, but one of them is made by Serica watches. They've just produced a Bonklip bracelet. And just look at the difference here between this kind of chunky quality, of course, and this ultralight, ultralight and really comfortable kind of bracelet. Two very, very different options. By Serica, I mean this watch that I'm holding here. In fact, I have two of them. I first got the white one. It's like this kind of enameled or lacquered dial. It's a lacquered dial. I really fell in love with that, so I bought the black one as well. So, well, now I've spent money on two of them. But when you love something, it's great, and I really enjoy these watches. I think, for my money, this is the best watch in the field watch category I've ever seen, hands down. Better than Hamilton or anything else. Every watch has its charm, but within the field watch category, I would definitely rank this as exceptional. Both in terms, look at that dial here, really well lacquered and brushed, and this chapter ring here, and it's just a gorgeous watch. So, and this is the bracelet, a Bonklip, which is very well known. Everyone knows the Bonklip from many years ago, but apparently they haven't been produced in the last 70 years. Well, maybe you can dig up some obscure producer, but basically they haven't really been produced for the last 70 years. And so Bonklip had to, as I read somewhere, they had to find 3 different manufacturers, because there was not one manufacturing who could do it all, but they had to employ 3 different ones to achieve the final product. But this is very different. It's lightweight and it's adjustable. So let's try to put it on and see what that is in terms of the middle ground between yin and yang. So here it is with the Bonklip, also made by Serica. So I think it's pretty groundbreaking, both in terms of the design of the watch itself, which is what I really like, and then they designed the Bonklip, which harkens back to 70 years ago, and this is just the perfect middle ground between leather straps and a bracelet. It's very easy to put on, and the good thing about it is once you take this, you can tighten this as much as you like or as little as you like. So it's really adjustable, and you can put it anywhere you like in this, very tight or very little tight. I prefer to put it here. So this is really matching my wrist. And there you go, that's how it looks. Or you can put it, if you want it, above the bone or below the bone. I think people talk about the lack of adjustability on bracelets. Rolex has a few that are really well adjusted. You can adjust them infinitely, and other brands are missing that adjustment factor. But here you get, almost limitless adjustment. It really fits how tight or how loose you want it. And if you want to adjust it, if your hands swell up, you can just open it and adjust it, and there you go. So it's really, really versatile. And if you're into straps that are not that heavy, so this is really wonderful as well. Again, it's just a new option. I still go mostly for the leather bracelet. But my point about these yin and yang of watches is I don't want to belong in just one camp or the other and throwing stones and at the other camp. I want ideally to have an appreciation for them. I don't want you to buy something you don't like, but appreciate what they like, and sometimes you can find a middle ground that actually works for you, like this one, which is a middle ground, or the date position I showed you before with the colored disc. So basically, this is just a short story about the yin and yang and the middle ground of a special Bonklip. So thank you for watching. See you again next time.